The Wildcat Sports Club CNY Brewfest is coming up January 31st and February 1st at the New York State Fairgrounds. Taste your way through unlimited samples from more than 100 breweries. Now featuring hard ciders, seltzers, craft cocktails, and mocktails too. Grab your tickets now at cnybrewfest.com.
Welcome to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on Twitch at qsportstalk.com. My name is Cedric Derecho, and I'm here with Teddy Caputo and Jack Ziskin. Teddy and Jack, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Cedric. Glad to be back for another semester of Newhouse Afternoons.
Well, actually, this is my first semester on Newhouse Afternoons. Really happy to join you guys here, especially after my Jets get Aaron Glenn. Great day for me. I'm sure they'll find a way to disappoint me, but this hire does not.
Yeah, that's the latest news here in New York. We've got some NFL talk for you guys. We're going to touch on the NHL and NBA later on as well as Syracuse football. But first, we're going to start with Syracuse basketball, guys. 77-69 victory over Notre Dame on Saturday. Head coach Micah Shrewsbury ejected from the game at the end. It's a big win for Syracuse basketball.
Oh, yeah, especially because it was a come-from-behind win. To get that 6-point play at the end was monumental as well to get that stretch. And I think Syracuse, they're still trying to figure out their identity as a team. J.J. Starling was the leading scorer, but shooting 7 for 20, if you're going to do that night in, night out, it's really not going to cut it this year. So I think they're just still trying to figure things out. At this rate, they got to make a big run in the ACC tournament.
I will say this, though. He did step up in the second half. He was the hero in the second half and a big part of why Syracuse was able to come back from 17 down.
Totally.
Look, we can talk about the stats, and they matter. You know, Syracuse has had their struggles shooting. They're not a good three-ball team. They're second to last in the ACC. And, you know, they've had their troubles at the line. We all know that. But this is about emotion. You know, J.J. Starling up against his former team. He missed his last meeting against Notre Dame because of that broken hand, injured in practice, right? And then, you know, you're without Donnie Freeman against Notre Dame, and he just balls out in the second half. Like, that's the reality. He balls out in the second half. And despite every mistake they made, and it was not a fundamentally sound game, they won. And that's what this team's identity needs to be. It needs to be that they can win games when they make mistakes because they will play harder than you. And that's what Red Autry's team showed us.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I think they need to establish that identity more, especially with Donnie Freeman being out. I think we were talking about it yesterday that though he is one of the stars of the team, they've been 3-1 without him. So everybody else had to step up and get gritty despite maybe some lackluster performances.
And what we're going to need to see here is more consistency out of this roster. You know, it can't just be J.J. Starling every night. You know, it's been very unpredictable who's going to step up in any given game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, too. I mean, Chris Bell, obviously, someone you would like to see a little bit more out of off the bench. We're seeing some good things from Jair Davis, though. He isn't helping at the foul line. Only 1 of 5 against Notre Dame, but you know, that part's good. You know, Lampkin's playing well. He's what they wanted him to be. And you're getting a lot out of Chopper Moore, the freshman. So that makes a huge difference, too.
I mean, Lampkin keep passing the ball. We saw that out of him in Colorado. But, man, you know, that behind the back, you know, assist.
13 points, 11 boards, 7 of them defensive, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and only 1 foul, no turnovers. That's one heck of a game.
Yeah, no, Eddie Lampkin's playing very well, but I will say that he is really the only real size that we have on the team. SU, for the majority of their games, is getting out-rebounded, and they struggle on the boards. Even in this win against Notre Dame, they were out-rebounded 43-34.
You know, they refused to play Naheem.
Yeah, which I don't know why. I mean, he's not a scorer, right? But he is efficient. He's actually 100% from the field this year. He's made every single shot that he's taken. So at least for a defensive presence on the court, I don't see why not put him in more.
I don't think he has that lateral movement.
Yeah.
He's a bit slow defensively, and that's a lot of the reason why matchup-wise it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
I mean, he is coming off that injury from last year, so that does have an impact. I think, you know, if you had more confidence in your perimeter defense and that was a little more consistent, you know, then you can talk about using him because he needs a little bit of help on the outside. But if you can give him that help, he can get some minutes. But obviously that hasn't been exactly where Syracuse wants it to be. Maybe we see him more when Freeman's back.
Yeah.
And Jack, you said that, when the team makes mistakes, it's Red Autry's, point of emphasis to just out-tough other guys. And we saw that out of Notre Dame in the Notre Dame game in the second half. Now, does this spark momentum, do you think, going forward? Because they got a tough game against Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough game. I don't think it's certain that they can pull that one out. But this is a statement win, again. Neither of these teams are particularly strong in conference play. Notre Dame is 2-5 in the ACC. Syracuse 3-4. But this is about, and again, I don't love going back to this again and again, but it's about emotion, right? I mean, on paper, 7 of 20 from the field is not good. But anybody who watched J.J. Starling and didn't look at the stats would be shocked to learn that he shot 7 of 20. So sometimes
That's true.
Your best players aren't the most efficient. Trae Young is a perfect example of that at the NBA level. So if they're winning games, there's an old saying, I'm not always a fan of it, but stats are for losers. If you win, you can ignore the stats at least for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he did step up at the end of the game, making some big plays, big drives to the basket, really cutting that deficit and getting the team up ahead. So I agree. Even if you're playing a bad game, the best players will disregard the stats. They'll just throw them out the window and basically just be like, I'm 0 for 0 at this rate. Let's just keep playing ball.
The same problems that the team has been facing, has been, persistent. Look at this, the 13 missed free throws against Notre Dame. That can't happen, and it's been happening all year long.
Yeah, no. Teams that miss free throws, literally you're leaving points off the board. And in some games, those points can mean the difference between a win and a loss. So who knows how many more wins SU could have. But, yeah, that's a big issue that we got to fix.
Do you guys think, what do you think the ceiling for this team is going forward?
This team this year?
Yes. Yeah. Keep in mind that Syracuse was ranked 11th out of 16 in the ACC coming into this season in the preseason poll.
Yeah, Jack, why don't you take that one first? I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I'm the new guy, so I was going to let you go first, but all right, I'll take a crack at it. I mean, this is this is what, this is about the schedule. Obviously, we all have that Duke game circled on our calendars. We all know how that one's going to go in all likelihood. But look, this is the ACC. This is, and has been for a long time, the dominant college basketball conference. Obviously, we've seen, the SEC's really dominated the AP Top 25 as of late, but there are no give-me's. You can look at the standings, you look at the scores. It's really just going to come down to how much you can get out of your best player. And right now, your best player is J.J. Starling. You got to think that win, validated his decision to leave Notre Dame, come to Syracuse, get more playing time, because he looked like a star.
Yeah.
He does all the little things. And for me personally, I can't tell you how these next 10 games will go, 12 games will go, because in the ACC, anybody can win on any given night. That's why toughness is so important.
And Syracuse started that Notre Dame game scorching. They started off 15 out of 23 from the field. And then from that point on, they held them to, I believe, under 35% field goal percentage the rest of the way. So take away that first 10 minutes, we saw a big step forward from that Syracuse defense.
Totally. And back to your original question about ceiling for the team. I mean, they're 9-9. They don't have any real impressive wins on their resume, and all the teams that they could have beaten or needed to beat to have those impressive wins, they've lost. So at this rate, they need to probably win the ACC tournament to get to the tournament, unless they do have these big wins against Duke, North Carolina, and even Clemson.
Well, we've seen stranger things. Remember NC State last year, 10 seed going into the ACC tournament?
That's what I'm saying.
DJ Burns going crazy.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, SU, they only had 2 or 3 guys return this year. So there's a lot of new guys on the team. I think they still haven't gelled. They're still trying to figure it out. And sometimes with a completely new roster, it does take the whole season to do that. So hopefully we can see another NC State situation with Syracuse, but that's when it's going to happen. Have to happen. It's going to have to happen in the ACC tournament or before.
Worth mentioning here, we talked about not having any impressive wins. Right now, again, it's the ACC. It's anyone's day. Any given night, anything can happen. And that's been the case this year for pretty much every team not named Miami. They're still looking for their first conference win. And you know what's coming. Like, it just will. This is the nature of the game. But 3-4 in the ACC, it's not terrible. You know, of the teams they're going up against next, you know, Clemson, yeah, they're 7-1 in the ACC. But, you know, Pittsburgh, Stanford, they're 3-4. Or Pittsburgh's 3-4, Stanford's 4-3. You know, these aren't games that are out of reach.
Yeah,
and if you get Donnie Freeman,
games, you know, it's the non-conference games that have been very deflating for them.
Yes, exactly. Those are games that we've needed to win. You know, obviously number 3 Tennessee, that's a hard win to have, but to be blown out like that, I don't think they had Starling in that game, so that did not help. But yeah, that can definitely be deflating going into the conference play, where you do need to go on a run.
Well, it doesn't get any easier against Clemson. 15-4 record, 7-1 in the ACC.
Yeah.
And the Tigers went on the road in Pittsburgh, got a tough victory in overtime. Not to mention Syracuse has lost 5 straight at Clemson. It's going to take that defensive effort that we saw in the second half of the Notre Dame game. They're going to need to do that and execute much better offensively just to give themselves a fighting chance at Clemson.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. And they're playing at Clemson too. So that's something we got to watch for tonight. You know, Clemson is on a roll, and I mean, it's an 89.1% chance of winning predicted according to ESPN analytics. So Syracuse got to step up. This is an opportunity to really show if they got the juice for the rest of the season.
All I'm hearing is they haven't won 5 consecutive games. They've dropped 5 consecutive games at Little John Coliseum in South Carolina. Those streaks, you know, they don't last forever. And yeah, Clemson's good this year. There's no doubt about it. They've been one of the tougher teams in the ACC in recent years. Are they unbeatable, though? Are they world beaters? I don't think so. And I don't think there's anything that would indicate that at this time.
Well, everybody loves a good underdog story. The matchup predictor right now only gives Syracuse about an 11% chance to win the game, you know, according to the ESPN analytics. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Clemson might get a little bit too comfortable, and then, you know, Syracuse brings the squeeze, I guess.
After this short 4-minute break, we'll be back to talk the NFL. We're going to preview the AFC and NFC championship games. You're listening to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7. Watch us on Twitch at qsportstalk.com.
Syracuse basketball head coach.
Okay, guys, I can't even hear the commercials or anything right now. I can't hear any of the feed coming from the studio.
I actually heard the commercials there for a second until they.
No, I can't hear a thing. I couldn't even hear our intro. When you pointed to me, I didn't even know when to talk until you pointed to me.
Really?
Because I'm like, I couldn't hear tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. I couldn't hear any of that.
Okay, hold on one sec. Is there?
So. This is perfect because I can't hear anything. I can't hear Jordan. I can't hear.
Yeah. No, I
can't hear Jordan at all.
I was wondering what was going on with that, but I wasn't going to say anything. I thought maybe we had to wait.
I can't hear the feed coming from the studio.
Let me see if I can tweak it really quick.
Ask him if.
Well, I can tweak it from over there.
Yeah.
Just
Is it mute? I think they're muted. That's why. I'm pretty sure my feed from them is muted.
Okay. Well, I'll tweak it over there. Someone just give me. We had 4 minutes and we started at 12, so.
Yeah, we got to do that now.
Yeah. I'll do it right now. I'll tweak it. So, you can't hear it, dude. It's got to be on there. I'm looking at the others.
The intro was our fault. There was a button in the other room, the radio studio, that wasn't pressed, so that'll be fixed.
Oh, now I can hear you, Jordan.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be on there.
The headset yesterday, but Neil over there.
Okay. Yeah. Now I hear you. I couldn't hear you at all in the beginning.
Yeah, I think it was the headset. I'm not sure. The intro that
Oh wait, now I can't hear you again. It's
Yeah, so
it's like cutting
Cedric's
in and
not
out.
hearing you.
No, I heard him, and then now I don't hear him now. It's like cutting in and out.
Yeah, now he's not hearing you again.
See, now I hear you again. Yeah, I hear you now, and I didn't hear you 30 seconds ago.
The only thing I can think of with that is maybe the wire. Maybe just keep an eye on the
Oh, your cord. Yeah, maybe. But
Seems
anyways,
to
we
be-
got a few people here watching while we're figuring this out and about to come back soon from the break. Let us know your thoughts on SU this year. We're going to get into some NFL, some more New York pro sports. So let us know your thoughts about the game tonight at 7 o'clock. And also, as we get into some of the professional stuff, let us know your takes. Let us know your thoughts. These are things that, we can banter with on the air. So we want to hear from you.
You have the chat open, right?
Yes,
So
I
you
do.
can-
I got it open.
There you go.
I didn't have it open to start, but it's open now. We got 17 people here watching. We thank you. Thank you for your support. 18, 19. Oh, there we go. So Jack, I think you're excited to talk about Aaron Glenn, aren't you?
I mean, I am. I'd be more excited if
What's
my
going
chair
on?
went back up.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm like, I looked over there and you're like a foot smaller than you were like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm still getting the hang of these chairs.
That's okay.
They didn't train me on this part.
That's okay. I don't know.
Well, how many seconds do we have?
Jordan, what's our countdown? Okay,
cool.
perfect. You can hear him now again?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
I could not at all in the beginning.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't
It's
know.
still cutting out in and out now, but
I mean, you hear enough of me.
yeah, if God forbid he cuts out, just point, one of you guys point to me.
Yeah, I'll point at
Okay.
you.
At the line are playing 5 seconds, and then they open after that. So it's off in about 10 now.
On QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on QSportsTalk.com. This hour of Newhouse Afternoon is powered by Drivers Village Cicero. Go to dvoffers.com for more info. Guys, what a week of football that was. The NFL divisional round, lots of eventful football. I think Mark Andrews and the Ravens fans are going to be remembering that drop on the two-point conversion for a very long time. But the AFC and NFC championships is set. The matchup that probably everybody wanted to see, the rematch between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and the Bills. I know that this Syracuse community is excited for the most part. Bills in the AFC Championship, and then of course the Washington Commanders. What a surprise story they've been taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Lincoln Philly.
Yeah, well, first question I have for you guys is, do you really want to see this rematch again? Like, me personally, I do not want to see the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, honestly. This year especially, of course, their record 15-2 indicates that they've been really solid. However, they've been pretty much a play away for 8 games to being like 9-8, so or 8-9, whatever the number is. So honestly, they're kind of just skating their way through this year, in my opinion. Of course, they're a much different football team come playoff time. I really want to see the Bills win, and it's not because I'm a local New York resident. It's because, man, it's time. It's time. I do not want to see the Chiefs run it back for a 3-peat. I'm sorry to any Chiefs fans out there.
Well, and we're a long way from Missouri right now, so you might be okay on that front. What would be worrying for me, at least, is that, Buffalo has already played Kansas City this year. It's really hard to beat a team twice. I think we all know what the weaknesses of this Chiefs squad is. They haven't necessarily had the offense they've had in years past. Travis Kelce, he's not as quick as he used to be. I don't think anyone's going to argue that.
But he's still wide open all the time.
They dared him to. Houston dared him to beat him, and he did. That's what happened, and it's an uphill battle for Buffalo, not because they're at Arrowhead. It's because of the fact that this is the second time around, and this Chiefs team, they don't lose often. I mean, it's not exactly a hot take, but Mahomes has made the AFC Championship every year he's been a starter.
That's true. I mean, the thing is, too, like you said, they're not a stellar team offensively. What has me worried, though, is they're healthy again. They have Pacheco back. They have Kareem Hunt, obviously, the tandem running back duo. And then at receivers, it's not like these guys are, like, top-tier, all-pro first team. But they got Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju, and Hollywood Brown. Like, that runs deep, let alone Travis Kelce and Noah Gray, who stepped up this year. So when you got a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes who knows how to step up in prime time, won 3 Super Bowls already, going for number 4. Like, that's what worries me. Buffalo is right there this year. I feel like this is their year. But it's almost like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are their kryptonite, and Josh Allen is the Superman trying to get past it.
Well, tell you what, the Kansas City defense is the best they've ever been.
That's
and
true.
I think that it was a really good test for the Bills that they took on a very solid Ravens defense last week, and they were able to force some turnovers on Lamar Jackson in that second quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think really whoever is, and both of these matchups that we're looking at, whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win the game. If Patrick Mahomes has time to throw the ball, there's not pressure on him, and he's finding his guys, gosh, we can see them going for another Super Bowl. But if they're rushing Patrick Mahomes, he is pressured to make a throw that he normally wouldn't make, and they do turn the ball over, then yeah, I think the Bills can do it. I really think so.
Do we see another classic in this matchup? Right, because you know what, a couple of years ago, everybody remembers that insane, 42-36 divisional game. Chiefs, 13 seconds left to go in the game, find a way to tie it. Do you guys see it playing out that way? A shootout, another classic?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a classic. And there's 2 things I picked up on that you guys said. You mentioned Kansas City's defense. They're the only team that had fewer yards total than their opponent to win, and that's because when it mattered most, Houston could not get a first down. They could not get into, they couldn't create quality opportunities. And the other thing is, we're talking about how Kansas City's healthy now. There's one position where even if they're healthy, I'm not confident in it. It's their left tackle spot and their right tackle spot. They're not exactly fantastic at protecting their quarterback this year. They have a great interior offensive line. It's kind of one of the more unique situations in the NFL, and I think this game could honestly come down to, can the Bills stop Chris Jones, and how much can Greg Rousseau or Von Miller impact the game for Buffalo?
I was going to say, the last time that they played in the AFC Championship game, the Bills did not have Von Miller. So that is a big presence on the defensive side to get to Patrick Mahomes. But that's the other thing, too. Josh Allen, he's been really good this year taking care of the football. If he could take care of the football like he has all year, they really have a legitimate shot. I think he's making a lot smarter decisions. I just think that he can't let this moment get too big for him because, again, he's one step away from the Super Bowl. And I think many people can argue that are watching right now that if you can get past this big juggernaut of Kansas City Chiefs, like this game is basically the Super Bowl for them. It really is. And if they can get past the Chiefs, then not that they wouldn't take the next matchup seriously. You got 2 teams in Philly and Washington that are stellar, but it kind of lightens the load. It's like, oh, we got past the big boogeyman, and now we're confident we can go win it all.
Well, do you think that game between the Ravens and the Bills decided the NFL's MVP race? Josh Allen is the clear favorite to win the award right now. Do you think he sealed the deal, in that divisional match? I know it's a regular season award.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's like, it's a regular season award. Why would this performance matter? But, again, I think the big storyline there is Josh Allen, he's playing one of the best seasons of his career without a true number 1 receiver until maybe they got Amari Cooper in the middle of the season. So I think so.
The numbers, though, 41-4 touchdown to interception ratio for Lamar Jackson.
I know. And I think it's kind of skewed because he won it last year with not as stellar stats. So they're seeing Josh Allen, and it's like, okay, maybe we should give it to him instead because Lamar won it last year.
You can argue that Lamar Jackson, he has that stacked roster. He has the team, but Josh Allen had more success with less. A lot less.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, and Josh Allen doesn't have Derrick Henry there to help him either.
I mean,
So.
he does have Cook. He's got Ray Davis. Ty Johnson's done a lot. I would push back a little bit on the idea that the Bills don't have a really good football team. Not that you're saying they
clearly have a good football team. They're in the AFC Championship.
And I'm not going to call Amari Cooper a number one anymore. I will say that. But this is what I think it really comes down to. Why should Josh Allen care? The MVP, it's nice, but that's not what you play for. You don't play football growing up dreaming of being the NFL MVP. At least that's not your main dream. Your main dream is to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's arguably the pinnacle of any trophy in sports, at least on this continent. And if he beats Patrick Mahomes this coming Sunday, he will have beaten the 2023 MVP and the 2022 MVP in the playoffs. So if he doesn't win 2024, that's fine. He's trying to win a Super Bowl. If he beats Patrick Mahomes next week, he's facing Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels, and that's where the attention goes.
Yeah, you know what? How do you guys see this matchup going, though? Who do you got? Do you got the Chiefs or you got the Bills?
Honestly, I think I got the Bills. I really do. I think that the defense has stepped up. The defense has gotten healthy, and I just think that there's a lot of momentum for them. As long as Josh Allen can take care of the ball, I see the Bills winning this game. They're looking really good, honestly.
Give me Kansas City in a close game. You know what? We're in probably the tail end of this first wave of the dynasty. We all know that New England had, two separate, dynasties over a long period of time. Will we see that out of Kansas City in the coming years? It remains to be seen. I don't know if Travis Kelce is going to come back after this season. But you know what? I think that this team is as equipped as ever. If there was ever a team equipped to three-peat, it's this team right here.
That's going to be the deciding factor, though, is that connection between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. If they have it in this game, I can't argue with you. But if the Bills stop it, I see them going to the Super Bowl.
Well, let's not forget the Bills' defense has shown a good amount of they've had a good amount of success covering a team's tight end number one. We saw that with Mark Andrews. We saw Bernard punch the ball out, forcing that fumble. And, that's a real forced turnover, not like when Lamar Jackson bobbled the snap and it felt like he was just kind of running around in the backfield trying to get a hold of it. That was a real gutsy defensive play. And, look, there's a part of me that dreads Kansas City that thinks this is inevitable. But I don't want to live that way as a football fan. I'm picking Buffalo because they just feel like a team of destiny right now. If I'm wrong, I'll wear it, but I think it's just... It's Josh Allen's year. He got engaged to Haley Steinfeld. Everything's coming up Josh Allen. This is his year. This is his time. It's his Super Bowl.
Well, let's turn it over to the NFC side of things. What a dream season it's been for the Washington Commanders, knocking off the Super Bowl favorites in Detroit.
Yeah.
And, what a classic it was, at least in that first half.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me just say this. I know when Ben Roethlisberger was a rookie, he won 15 regular season games, but let's just say this has got to be probably the most impressive rookie quarterback campaign that we've ever seen, at least in our lifetime. Jaden Daniels has been quite impressive. The Lions, they were, of course, an extremely impressive team, but they just kept that RPO. Like, the Lions could not stop the RPO. And I think the Eagles, their defensive line has been stellar in these playoffs, but that RPO is going to be hard to stop. Jaden Daniels is on a roll.
Let me be clear with this. I was in Philadelphia for that game. Call it the Snow Bowl between the Rams and the Eagles. And, that weather absolutely played a factor.
Yeah.
Rams had a couple big drops there in the fourth quarter. And you know what? It's going to come down to Saquon Barkley, what he can do against this Commanders defense.
Totally.
Because can the Commanders stop Saquon? He rushes for over 150. Give me the Eagles all day in that game, especially at home at the Link.
Yeah, I got Philly too, but Ben Johnson, he's got a lot to deliver for Chicago fans. He waited a full season to become an NFL head coach. Washington wanted him before they hired Dan Quinn, and he waited for Chicago. He waited for Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels was, and he is a unique case study, same as Bo Nix, in that they really were, they were older quarterbacks playing college. I mean, Jaden Daniels is 24 years old. You mentioned Ben Roethlisberger's rookie season, 15 wins. He was a full 2 years younger, I think, back then. He was about 22. And I think that Washington, they've put together a really good football team. They probably have one of the best defensive coaches in the league, and they have one of the best offensive minds in the game right now as their OC, which was an underrated factor in all this heading into the season. But, man, for me, Philly, Nick Sirianni's team, they're just playing good football. It feels like you can plug anybody into that team starting lineup, and they'll find a way to get production out of them.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that, love Jaden Daniels, bright future ahead of him, but give me Jalen Hurts all the way.
Well, here's the thing, though. You guys are talking about the Bills as a team of destiny. But what is the Commanders then, if not a team of destiny? Because this is a team that was projected to get, 5-6 wins coming to this season. Nobody had it on their bingo card for them to be in the NFC Championship game, knocking off the number 1 seed on the road. Now going to Philadelphia, a team that they beat a little less than a month ago. Granted, that was against the Kenny Pickett-led Eagles for the most part.
I know Jack wants to say something.
Yeah, I'm dying here. I got to be honest. You talk about what are the Commanders if they're not a team of destiny? They're a Disney movie. And there's, a reason some sports movies end before the championship game. Let's think about Major League, the race to win, the race to make the playoffs so the team doesn't move. I know that's not a Disney movie, but bear with me. The goal is to make sure the team doesn't move. That's the goal. For the Commanders, this is a season of hope, but, I don't think it's a championship season. Look at this defense. Look how many free agents they brought in. Look, Bobby Wagner, great player. I know he just started his degree at Howard. He didn't think he'd be playing right now. His master's degree, I think, second semester. But that's besides the point, They didn't expect to be here. It's a great story. But, we have to take a step back and look at this objectively. They beat a diminished Detroit team. I'm pretty sure that Aaron Glenn was going to go out in the field if one more corner went down. And he's 52.
Yeah. And without Aiden Hutchinson, it's tough. That's your best player on your team, arguably. And, I think for going back to the matchup this Sunday, I would agree with you, Cedric, if it wasn't for Saquon Barkley. He is just a game changer on the field for the Eagles. I feel like last year, Eagles, they weren't quite as stellar, but they didn't have Saquon Barkley in the backfield, a guy who could basically get 150 yards, all-purpose yards every single game, and he's just so dynamic. I really think the Commanders, although, yes, they did stop Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery successfully, Saquon Barkley is a different animal. And, again, if the weather is a factor, we saw that Saquon can rush for 200 yards in the snow. So let's just see. I think
all
he's a
Eagles
difference.
fans thought it was over, with that 78-yard run, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then the mood was very somber. Very somber with less than a minute left. Rams at the 15-yard line. It really looked like the Rams were going to take the lead at the end there. Big-time sack. Got the Eagles the win. So I guess, in a sense, though, we're all picking the Eagles here. I was kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit with the Commanders, but I'm still got the Eagles all day in this game. I
think as long as they could stop the RPO, I got the Eagles. Because the Lions, yes, they were diminished, and I think if you had Aiden Hutchinson on the field, it would have been a lot easier to seal the edge and stop that RPO. The Eagles, they're not as depleted on the defensive line. They've been able to get to the quarterback this playoffs. If they stop the RPO, I think it's a big win for them.
Interestingly enough, though, their passing game has been very limited so far throughout the playoffs. They're going to need more out of Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. They're going to need more from those guys.
And that's why Saquon is such a factor, because if teams are looking at stopping him, then it opens up the passing game.
Absolutely.
And it opens up the game for Jalen Hurts to rush for a touchdown. I think in this type of weather, it's very hard to throw the football.
That's true.
And you mentioned run defense, and I'm a big Jahmyr Gibbs guy. He was the engine of my fantasy team. 14 carries, 105 yards on the ground.
Well, I'll be in Philly again this Sunday for the game, so I'll give you guys the report, the rundown on what goes on. Washington and Philadelphia should be a great game, but where we have a difference of opinion here is our Super Bowl picks. I've got the Kansas City-Philadelphia Eagles rematch. It looks like both of you have Bills-Eagles.
Yeah, I do. Bills-Eagles.
Yep.
All right. So after this short 4-minute break, we'll be talking NHL and NBA. You're listening to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7. Watch us on Twitch at qsportstalk.com.
Hey, this is former Syracuse.
Team of Destiny. I wonder how many cutaways we're going to get to Haley Steinfeld in the Super Bowl. It won't be the same number as Taylor Swift, but it'll be a pretty good number. And
Hold on. Jack wasn't hot there at the end, was he?
Huh?
Jack
No, he
was-
said we're clear.
Yeah, I know, but you started talking like a second before that.
Oh, no, I think we're okay.
Okay.
We may be fine.
I waited for the audio to be clear, like the transition, so I figured they'd cut it.
Yeah, no, I think it's
My
fine.
first day on the job.
We'll hear about it later.
Yeah, we will.
But anyways,
Run
we
the
did
tape.
we did have some right. We did have a couple comments here from our first segment. Someone mentioned, do you think Cuse? Well, I'll say Sue Woohoo, SU Woohoo. Do you think Cuse will finish over 500? What's your take on that?
I think they can. They absolutely can.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how tough their non-conference schedule is.
I think that they can, if they can shoot over 65% from the foul line, even 70. They can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking football for that. Syracuse basketball, that's debatable. I mean, this is a fan base that is used to winning. 48 seasons with Jim Boeheim, only one losing season under him. So this city is not used to losing seasons by any means.
So were you just predicting that Syracuse was going to go 500 on the season they just finished? Or were you predicting that for next season?
Next season.
They already got the beat Tennessee sign up.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. But it's gonna be, in terms of football, a whole different landscape without Kyle McCord. So we'll see.
Ricky Collins Jr. time. That dude's highlights from high school are just.
Jack, it looks like you got a family member listening because they said you're not clear.
They're listening on the stream. They wouldn't know.
I know.
But I like that.
Okay, and then another comment here. Someone said, Supercat610, right on, guys. Great job. Appreciate your optimism. Going to be a heavy lift for the Orange tonight. Yes, indeed, it will. But, again, I think someone just touched on it. They've only had one losing season in the Boeheim era, and they had a pretty impressive first run last year with Red Autry. So I just feel like it's in the DNA of Syracuse basketball to pick it up. I'd be really surprised, even though it's a new team and they're trying to gel. I would be really surprised if they finish below 500, honestly. It's going to be a tough schedule, but, I'd be really surprised.
And nobody wants to hear this, but it's not about this season. It's not. It's about next season. It's about getting to next season and all the young talent they're bringing in, especially if Donnie Freeman comes back, which I think he will.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to have a lot of five-star talent.
Yeah.
You'll have the son of the greatest Syracuse basketball player of all time. And I think Starling still has one more year of eligibility after this, so you'll have some veteran presence too, so they should be in a good spot next year. Well, and this is just me. Donnie has been injured this season, obviously. He's currently projected just outside the first round. And there's a lot of second-year power forwards that have had a lot of success,
We'll have to run through this
both in the draft and heading up to the draft.
NBA,
This year,
we should probably make
the
it
number
5,
one
6
example of
minutes
that
to
is
cut to
on
the next
South
break.
Carolina with their power
I'm good
forward.
with that.
And, just trying to make sure I get the name
Just 'cause
right.
it's already
with the
38.
pronunciation, but Colin Murray.
I think that's really bad for the culture of college basketball. If it's like, if things aren't super grandiose the first year, you're just going to transfer out to another school. I mean, I guess Donnie Freeman has the talent to do that, but like,
Come play with White.
but that's the thing. If you have those two amazing recruits, Sadiq White and Kyan Anthony coming, why not give it a shot? Why not play with them? I think he should come back.
Be like Colin Murray Bowles at South Carolina. Boyles.
100.1. Watch live on qsportstalk.com. tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on QSportsTalk.com. Cedric Duretto, Jack Ziskin, and Teddy Caputo here. You know what? New York basketball. Latest on them. The Nets beaten by the Knicks last night, 99-95. 4-point victory for the Knicks. But, Jack, you see this as a win-win situation.
Yeah, I do see this as a win-win situation. You know, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. But, you know, for me, when I was growing up, when I was a much younger man, you know, the Nets were in this place called New Jersey. I've never really thought of them as a New York team. And I say that as someone who's gone to a lot of Brooklyn Nets games. And, you know, they were fun to root for as an underdog, that first D'Angelo Russell stint, right? But for them, this is all about building through the draft, something they haven't necessarily been able to do the way they've wanted to. You know, Sean Mark's a good GM, obviously, and yeah, I mean, their plan was to rebuild through the draft, but they did so well at building a good culture that they got KD and Kyrie Irving last time. This time around, they're doing it right, and they're doing what NBA fans know and love. They're losing basketball games. They're trying to lose because they want Cooper Flag in a Brooklyn Nets jersey. And they shouldn't want to win. If they can lose every game for the rest of the season, they should.
Well, don't sleep on those Rutgers guys. You know, it'd be pretty nice to have Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper in a Brooklyn Nets uniform also.
I know you're a Rutgers guy, and those guys are fantastic talents.
Nets fans want those Rutgers guys too, though. Don't get me wrong. They would love Flag as well.
And they don't have to travel that far.
This is a talented 2025 draft class, keep in mind.
You can't go wrong with any of them. But Flag might be a generational talent, and, you know, you look at around the league at the draft boards, you know, whether it's Sam Vecini at the Athletic or anyone else, Cooper Flag is in a class of his own. I think, you know, no disrespect to Harper and Bailey. They're fantastic players. Love watching them. I don't think we're at the point where we're even discussing somebody else at number one. And that's not a knock on them. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. But who's to say the Nets are going to get the number one pick? I mean,
oh, exactly.
I mean, with the way the NBA draft lottery works nowadays, the top three teams with the worst records all have a 14% chance at that number one pick.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, the Nets, they do have a lot of assets, like 40 to 50 million in cap space, and you mentioned earlier 16 first-round picks in the next 6 years. So when you do have a generational talent like Cooper Flag, you may want to maybe make a move for him on that. I mean, how many 17-year-olds do you know go in the Olympic basketball practice and actually compete? You know, like, I know it's just practice, but still, I mean, not many.
I mean, he wasn't playing Allen Iverson, so, like, you know, it might have been just practice, but he dominated that practice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I saw some of those highlights. He was holding his own, like, at 17 against some of the best basketball players in the world.
Wasn't he winning? Like, I feel like they were tracking scoring. I'm pretty sure he was winning back then. It's been a long time, but
Yeah. So I mean, I think the Nets, that makes sense. Like you said, Cedric, they're probably not going to get the first overall pick, but if they have a shot, like, why not go after Cooper Flag? They got the money, they got the assets, they got the ability.
You're
to
saying
do it.
Trade up in the draft if they don't get the number one overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how high up or how low they are.
If you're two, you mean? If you're 2 or 3?
If you're 2 or 3, well, I wouldn't trade up to 1 if you're 2 or 3 because you still got Bailey and Harper.
I mean, you
there.
got those future firsts from Phoenix.
If you're 4 or 5, I could see, but I don't think anybody would realistically trade that number one overall pick. I mean, it's not as insane as, say, last year trading away the number one pick for Wembanyama. The Spurs were not going to do that for any price.
That's true. And I mean, other teams are in the same boat, probably thinking what you're thinking, Jack. Like, Cooper Flag is a generational talent. Why would we want to trade that pick? Because we have a chance to pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, look, all I know is this. We won't know what the Knicks are until the end of the season. We know what the Nets are. They're doing the right thing here. The Knicks still need time to mesh. And as a Knicks fan, I hope we see Cooper Flag wearing black at Barclays Center because that would be great for New York basketball.
I'll tell you what, though. What do you think of the Knicks? Because, yeah, we won't know what they are till the end of the year, but this was a team that was constructed, was designed to compete with the Boston Celtics, and instead we've got Cleveland Cavaliers here running through the Eastern Conference.
That's true, but, I mean, they are only 2 games back from the Celtics right now in their division, so don't count the Knicks out. They did have a rocky start to the season, but they've really been picking it up. Jalen Brunson in this game last night did not play that well. He was a -5 point differential on the court, which it's unlike Jalen Brunson. But you have also Karl Anthony Towns as his right-hand man, as well as the depth. Because when Jalen Brunson maybe is not having a good game, you got other guys to step up. And meanwhile, while Jalen Brunson was -5 on the point differential, Karl Anthony Towns was +16. So he's really been a huge asset for this team.
Their depth actually does concern me, especially along the wing. They had to get rid of a lot of wing depth, obviously. You know, they traded DiVincenzo to get Towns. That was the price they paid. I know they would have preferred to move Robinson, and I know there's rumors that they could move Mitchell Robinson before he comes back. But let's say they don't trade him. He comes back for the Knicks. You kick Towns out to the 4. You know, you move Nube and Bridges to the 2 and the 3, and you still have Brunson at point guard. That's a true 4 great shooting options. You have an elite rim protector, and you'd be able to bring Hart off the bench with McBride and either Cam Payne or Tyler Kolek. You know, for me, especially with Precious on the bench too at Chua, that looks nice. But we won't know until Robinson is either dealt or he's back and playing.
That's a good point. I do agree. The wing position, it does seem a little light in terms of their depth, but they do have good guard depth and good front court depth. So hopefully that will carry them.
I'll tell you what, guys. Just give me a yes or no answer today. If I were to ask you today, can the Knicks win the East? Yes or no?
Ooh, I think the short answer is no. I don't think they're going to win the East. The Cavs are they're kind of having this, I forget the term you just used, but they're really playing great basketball.
Should have never let go of Kenny Atkinson. We're seeing that right now.
But the short answer is no. Do I think they could make a big run in the playoffs? Yes. But I think the Celtics are playing really well. I think it's going to be them and the Cavs.
How about from a resident Knicks fan, Jack?
Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think the Knicks are better on paper than the Celtics or the Cavs. I think on paper those two teams both look better. But this is a league where availability is the best availability. And you never know who's going to go down. So for me, it's too soon to even guess, in all honesty. And the other big thing for me is that with the Knicks, you know, when the bench gets shorter in the postseason, and, you know, and when guys are at their best, you know, you got 3-and-D guys, playoff performers like OG and Bridges. Good spot to be in.
After this short 4-minute break, we'll be back with Syracuse football and the transfer portal. You are listening to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7. Watch us on Twitch at qsportstalk.com.
Hey, this is former.
You guys are all clear, so when you come back, you'll have about 50 minutes until the hunt out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's easy. We can cut the NHL and MLB because I'm sure that the show's tomorrow. Somebody's going to pick it up.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that not being discussed. I'm sure.
Do we want to still?
No, we just focus on the transfer portal and a quick final thoughts on the college football championship game.
Yeah.
What about our?
Really quick, make fun of that guy for that.
Yeah.
Like
a
the way he
minute
said
on
it.
each. So you guys really make it brief points. Don't go on a whole 45-second tangent.
Yeah.
Make it 15 to 20 seconds per point, Jack. That's more for you. Make it 15 to 20 seconds.
Very new at this. I'm very new at this.
Hey, no, you're good. You're good.
And by the way, I was recruited for this, and by his truly.
And the good thing about lacrosse is that it's a long season, so keep that slide in lacrosse, and we're going to have a true Syracuse lacrosse preview in our show in 2 weeks. How about that?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Hey, I mean, Spallina, man. Dude is unreal. 88 points.
That's the good thing about that is that that's a pretty evergreen topic, so we can discuss that in 2 weeks.
I wouldn't call it evergreen because, you know, there is a set, like, there are set dates for when these games happen, Cedric.
Well, I know, but the season starts when for Syracuse lacrosse?
February 1st.
Exactly. That'll be a good time. It'll be the first couple games of the year.
Open it against JU, Jacksonville, the Dolphins.
Any comments on the chat? Twitch chat?
I don't think we've had anything new, but guys, please share your thoughts. We're about to talk a little bit about Syracuse football, the transfer portal, the national championship game. You know, we have our own quick thoughts and quips about it, but maybe you can fuel us. Let us know your thoughts.
And one analyst's prediction of where Kyle McCord will get drafted.
You guys got it. You guys won't believe
This
it.
is a this.
Yeah, you got to stick around for this. This is
what Sports Illustrated
funny.
respectfully has come down to nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go after Sports Illustrated. I just think this was a pick that wasn't well thought out.
Is it the Sports Illustrated? Is it more the writer that you have a bone to pick
I'm not
with?
going after the writer either. I mean,
I mean, they still make a lot of money. They still have the swimsuit issue, right?
Wow. Good
As long
thing
as
this
they
is
have
on
the
Twitch
swimsuit,
only right now.
as long as they have the swimsuit issue,
They
they'll
will
be making
continue
money.
to make money.
Yes. You do not have to worry about that. But speaking of which, I got to throw this link up on my screen.
Yeah, I did not have that one on my bingo card, boys. And calling you boys does feel pretty accurate right now. That's more for Cedric, not you, Teddy. You're a saint.
All right.
Just a quick quip for the fans on Twitch.
So, wait. I think I remember this correctly, but enlighten me because I'm not super sharp on my lacrosse history. But the Spallina brothers, wasn't there a famous Spallina?
Yeah, there was. The dad was famous, and the son came here as a top recruit in 22.
Yeah.
He broke the head coach, that's Gary Gates' record for points by 1.
Okay.
The Gates brothers.
Yes, the Gary Gate. Yes, that too.
I think you're thinking of him and his brother. I know the Spallina father, I think, did play here, and he had a sister who I think was committed here, and she flipped.
See, that's what I was thinking of is Gary Gate, the coach. He played with his brother here. He broke a record. Now, the Spallina brothers who have history.
We're gonna introduce them to jumping through the crease.
Okay, just so you guys know, for next week, we're gonna be talking about some lacrosse.
2 weeks. Right?
Or that's what I meant. Next show, 2 weeks. It's something that I haven't paid as much attention to as other sports, but I did talk in an interview with one of the lacrosse players who's a really cool guy. And I'll tell you more about that in a couple weeks, but it's got me excited for the season. Let's just put it that way.
Just a picture-perfect tease on your part.
Yeah, you got to stay tuned.
I love it.
Book your calendar. Book your set the reminder right now.
We're gonna have to talk about the Galloway Bowl. The Joey Galloway.
Yes.
And Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on QSportsTalk.com. So Syracuse football, they were one of the best offenses in the country this past season. They lose a lot of guys to the draft, McCord, Gadsden, and LeQuint Allen namely. What do you guys think are the draft expectations for those three?
I think that they're all going to go at some point. Personally, I don't think any of them are going to go higher than the 3rd round. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. Where they're going to fall exactly, I don't know. I know you made a comment about LeQuint Allen being like Pacheco in a sense, so he could go 6th or 7th round and see some playing time.
I'll tell you what, though, there is one. Should we even call this person an analyst? They have somebody has McCord going pretty high. John, why don't you tell us about that?
I'm not going to question this person's credentials. We're going to put him through enough. We're not going to mention him by name, of course. But we were looking at Kyle McCord's draft stock. Now, a lot of analysts have him around 4th or 5th round. He's around number 7 on Mel Kiper Jr.'s board right now. But there's a Sports Illustrated writer out there who has Kyle McCord going 7th overall to the New York Jets. Now, we mentioned this because this is the only person we could find who had McCord this high. And, Teddy, you and I did mention this a little bit before the show. We were talking about it. And, McCord, his draft stock would be much higher if not for that game against Pittsburgh. But I don't think there was a world in which he was going 7. I still don't.
Yeah, probably like end of the 1st round, but not 7 overall.
Yeah, and that would have been before the Pittsburgh game,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
But, I think that they got some nice talents here. We didn't write about Fadil Diggs, who's going to be a day 3 pick. Jackson Meeks, I haven't seen his name much anywhere. I don't know why. He had 1,000 yards last year. Tremendous receiver for the Orange. Another SEC transfer like Diggs, only he came from Georgia. Diggs came from A&M. That's Texas. And then I'm trying to keep my point shorter, but Gadsden Jr., his old man played for the Cowboys and the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me a lot of Isaiah Likely, actually.
Yeah, so we are 2 days removed from the CFP National Championship game. Just a quick congratulations to Ohio State.
Yes.
However, with the expanded 12-team CFP and a $20 million roster, yes or no question, does Ohio State win the whole thing without NIL? Granted, that could be said about anybody, but do they win without the NIL?
I don't know. I personally, if you want me to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really see NIL as a factor here. I see two teams that, to be honest with you, are motivated by faith and also motivated by some of the comments our very own Syracuse Orange football program made about them. So that's my take on the matter.
Jack, just yes or no?
I love that. I'm going to go with no. Those were two. I think Teddy said it perfectly.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to Newhouse Afternoon. We'll be back in 2 weeks and a new show with 3 new hosts tomorrow. Next up, the Sports Show with Cody Mack.
This is Orange.